Seen from above, Kenya is not one landscape, but a stack of worlds. The Indian Ocean meets a low, tropical coast. Beyond it, the land climbs toward cool highlands, breaks open along the Great Rift Valley, and then stretches north into volcanic desert. Kenya covers more than 580,000 square kilometers on the eastern side of Africa. The equator crosses the country, yet altitude often matters more than latitude. A morning can begin among palms at sea level and end beneath the cold silhouette of Mount Kenya. This vertical geography explains where people farm, where cities grew, where wildlife still moves, and why Kenya has become one of the continent's most recognizable nations. Across western Kenya runs one of Earth's great geological scars. Here, sections of the African plate are slowly pulling apart. Faults drop the valley floor between high escarpments, while volcanoes, hot springs, alkaline lakes, and deep basins mark the restless crust below. From the dry landscapes around Lake Turkana to Baringo, Nakuru, Naivasha, and Magadi, the rift is not a single trench. It is a chain of basins with different climates and chemistries. Some lakes support fish and farms. Others concentrate salts and microscopic algae that attract vast numbers of birds. The same fractures that shape the scenery also bring underground heat close enough to the surface to become energy. In Kenya, geology is not distant history. It is infrastructure. East of the rift rises Mount Kenya, an extinct volcano carved by ancient glaciers into sharp peaks and deep valleys. Bashan reaches 5,199 meters, making it Africa's second highest summit. The mountain is also a giant water tower. Forests and moorlands catch moisture, and rivers descend toward farms, towns, and wildlife reserves. Around its lower slopes, volcanic soils and cooler temperatures support dense settlement and intensive agriculture. Tea, coffee, vegetables, and dairy farms form a green belt that contrasts with the drier lowlands beyond. The mountain's remaining glaciers are small and shrinking, a visible signal that even the highest parts of equatorial Africa are being reshaped by a warming climate. Southwestern Kenya opens into the grasslands of the Maasai Mara, the northern extension of the Serengeti ecosystem. Its most famous spectacle is not a fixed event, but a moving response to rain and grass. Wildebeest, zebras, and gazelles circulate across the Kenya-Tanzania border, following fresh grazing and water. River crossings draw the cameras, but the larger story is ecological connectivity. Herds need room beyond the boundaries of any single reserve. Predators, scavengers, insects, and soils all depend on that movement. Farther north, Samburu's drier country supports elephants, reticulated giraffes, and species adapted to harsher conditions. Kenya's wildlife map is therefore a network. National parks, county reserves, private conservancies, community lands, farms, and migration corridors, all touching one another. On the coast, Kenya faces a different world. Warm Indian Ocean currents meet coral reefs, mangroves, creeks, white beaches, and old port towns. For centuries, monsoon winds linked the shore with Arabia, Persia, India, and other parts of Africa. Trade helped create Swahili civilization, African at its foundation, maritime in its outlook, and shaped by many encounters. Mombasa grew around a deep, natural harbor. Fort Jesus records the violent competition for control of that trade, while Lamu preserves a more intimate urban pattern of coral stone houses, carved doors, courtyards, and narrow streets. UNESCO describes Lamu as the oldest and best preserved Swahili settlement in East Africa. From above, the coast may look like a holiday postcard. At street level, it is a living archive of the Indian Ocean. Nairobi sits more than 1,700 meters above sea level, where the highland climate is milder than its equatorial position suggests. It began as a railway depot in the late 19th century and expanded into the political, financial, and logistical center of modern Kenya. Glass towers now rise above older commercial districts, highways, informal neighborhoods, and fast-growing satellite towns. Yet, the city's southern edge meets Nairobi National Park, where giraffes and other wildlife can appear against the skyline. That collision of city and savannah is visually dramatic. But it also exposes a planning challenge. Roads, housing, and industry create jobs and connections, while narrowing wildlife corridors and increasing pressure on water and land. Nairobi's future depends on managing growth, without erasing the landscape that made its location possible. Kenya is home to many communities, each with its own histories, languages, and relationships to land. The Maasai are internationally visible, but they are one part of a much broader society that includes Kikuyu, Luhya, Kalenjin, Luo, Kamba, Somali, Mijikenda, Meru, Turkana, and many others. Kenya's constitution names Kiswahili as the national language and recognizes both Kiswahili and English as official languages, while also protecting linguistic diversity. In daily life, people often move between languages, depending on family, school, work, or neighborhood. Music, fashion, faith, sport, and online culture mix local and global influences. The result is not one uniform national identity, but a continuous negotiation between community roots and a shared Kenyan public life. Altitude turns the central and western highlands into some of Kenya's most productive farmland. Around Kericho, tea fields follow the contours in dense green bands. In the Central Highlands, coffee grows in red volcanic soil, while vegetables, flowers, and fruit supply both domestic and export markets. Farming remains deeply connected to rainfall, smallholder livelihoods, transport costs, and global prices. At the table, geography becomes everyday food. Googly, a firm maize staple, is paired with vegetables, beans, fish, or meat. Sukuma Wiki reflects the importance of leafy greens, while Nyama Choma turns roasted meat into a social meal. Along the coast, coconut, cassava, spices, and seafood reveal Indian Ocean connections. Kenyan cuisine is less a single menu than a map of climate, trade, migration, and memory. Kenya's modern borders were drawn through older landscapes of trade, pastoral movement, farming, and coastal city-states. European colonial rule transformed land ownership and built a railway from the coast toward Lake Victoria. Nairobi grew along that line, and the highlands became a center of settler agriculture. Resistance took many forms, culminating in an armed emergency and a wider political struggle over land, labor, and representation. Kenya became independent in 1963 and a republic the following year. The physical inheritance of that period remains visible: rail corridors, port systems, export farms, city plans, and unequal patterns of land and opportunity. Looking from above reveals how history settles into space. Roads follow old decisions, cities expand around colonial cores, and arguments about development still run through the geography of ownership. Kenya has one of the largest and most diversified economies in East Africa. Services, agriculture, manufacturing, construction, transport, and tourism all contribute, though their benefits are unevenly distributed. The Kenyan National Bureau of Statistics reported real economic growth of 4.7% in 2024. Agriculture, forestry, and fishing grew by 4.6% that year, reminding us that even a service-led economy still depends heavily on land and weather. Mombasa's port connects inland Kenya and neighboring countries to global shipping. Nairobi concentrates banks, regional headquarters, universities, media, and professional services. But rapid urbanization also brings high housing costs, traffic, informal work, and pressure on public systems. Kenya's commercial energy is real, so is the task of converting growth into secure livelihoods. The Rift Valley's underground heat gives Kenya an energy advantage. At Olkaria, wells tap steam from volcanic systems and feed a network of geothermal power stations. Kenyan lists several operating plants in the field, including Olkaria V, with a capacity of 172 megawatts. Geothermal can produce electricity day and night, complementing hydropower, wind, and solar. Farther north, turbines near Lake Turkana turn strong corridor winds into power. Above this changing energy system sits another Kenyan story: digital innovation. Nairobi earned the nickname Silicon Savannah through mobile money, financial technology, logistics platforms, and a dense startup ecosystem. Technology does not remove inequality, and innovation is not automatic inclusion. But Kenya has repeatedly shown how infrastructure can leap across older limits when energy, networks, skills, and practical local demand meet. Kenya's protected landscapes carry enormous ecological and economic value. But conservation is no longer only about drawing lines around parks. Wildlife moves across community land and private property. Rivers connect forests, farms, towns, and reserves. Drought can push livestock and wild animals toward the same shrinking water sources, while fences and roads interrupt migration. Climate change intensifies these pressures through heat, erratic rainfall, glacier loss, and stronger competition for land. Newer conservation models increasingly involve local communities, shared tourism revenue, conservancies, and corridor protection. None is a perfect solution. The central question is whether people living beside wildlife can gain durable benefits from keeping ecosystems intact. The survival of Kenya's great landscapes will be decided not only inside famous reserves, but in the inhabited spaces between them. From orbit, Kenya can be reduced to a border on a map. Closer in, that border holds an ocean coast, a fractured valley, a glaciated mountain, crowded highlands, dry northern plains, fast-growing cities, and routes that have connected continents for centuries. The same geology that divides the land supplies. Geothermal power. The same grasslands that attract the world depend on local communities and open corridors. The same capital that drives innovation still lives beside a national park. Kenya's defining feature is not any single postcard. It is the tension between altitude and climate, movement and settlement, conservation and growth. Seen from above, the country is not simple. It is connected.